Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to His confounder, Acharya Divine Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Sahadev Prabhu, are you here with us?
Hare Krishna, yes, Hare Krishna.
Okay, we welcome you all to today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are having a revived host. It's great Sahadev Prabhu who is going to be speaking to us today from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sahadev Prabhu does not need any introduction because he's anyone who knows the color of the US dollar would know who Sahadev Prabhu is in his con. Thank you very much for accepting to render this service today. So without much ado, Sahadev Prabhu, if you're ready, we'll put the verse on the screen and we can start today's
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswati Vyasam Tato Gayavakirayat. Nashta Prayesh Abhadrasham Jam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavata Vittamashloke Bhakta Bhagavati Naishtaki. Hare Krishna. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13, text number 35. Thank you. Rupam tavayetam nano diskritamanam duradarshanam devayat advaratmakam chandam siyasya tvachi harhi ramashu adyam drishitu andrishichatu rupam tavayetam nano diskritamanam durdarshanam devayat advaratmakam chandam siyasya tvachi parhiro mashu ajam drishitu ankrishu chatuhodram. Word-to-word translations. Rupam, form. Tava, your. Etat, this. Nanu, but. Dushkrita atmanam, of souls who are simply miscreants. Drudarashanam, there to see. Deva, O Lord. Yat, that. Adwara atmakam, worshipable by performances of sacrifice. Chandamsi, the Gayatri mantra, and others. Yasya, whose. Twachi, touch of the skin. Barahihi, sacred grass called kusha. Romashu, hairs on the body. Ajyam, clarified butter. Drishi, in the eyes. Two, also. Angrishu, on the four legs. Chatu Utram, four kinds of creative activities. Translation and purport by Jagat Guru Param Guru Isi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O Lord, your form is worshipable by performance of sacrifice, but souls who are simply miscreants are unable to see. All the Vedic hymns, Gayatri and others are in touch of your skin. In your bodily hairs, is the kusha grass. In your eyes is the clarified butter, and in your forelegs are the 4 kinds of fruitive activities. Purport. There is a class of miscreants who are known in the words of Bhagavad Gita as Vedavadi, or so-called strict followers of the Vedas. They do not believe in the incarnation of the Lord. What to speak of the Lord's incarnation as the worshipable hog. They describe or worship of the different forms or incarnations of the Lord as anthropomorphism. In the estimation of Srimad Bhagavatam, these men are miscreants. And in Bhagavad Gita 7:15, they are called not only miscreants, but also fools and the lowest of mankind. And it is said that their knowledge has been plundered by illusion due to their atheistic temperament. For such condemned persons, the Lord's incarnation as the gigantic hog is invisible. These strict followers of the Vedas, who despise the eternal forms of the Lord, may know from Srimad Bhagavatam that such incarnations are personified forms of the Vedas. Lord Boaz's skin, his eyes, and his bodily hair holes are all described here as different parts of the Vedas. He is therefore the personified form of the Vedic hymns, and specifically the Gayatri mantra. Oma jana timirandasya jana jana shalakaya chakshir unmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vanchakalpataridhyas Chakripat Sindhuvya Evacha Patitana Pavanabhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahabhadanya Ya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Ya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Bora Tuishe Namaha. Nama Brahmanya Devya Go Brahmana Hitya Chaita Kaditya Krishna Govinda Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, we had Mother Brajalila scheduled to speak today, but she could not speak today because she had an emergency situation she needed to attend to. So, of course, she told me yesterday, so we knew that she was not going to be able to speak. It is very interesting that I get to speak on this particular verse today, because I have some ill reservations to some of the things I find happening in some of our temples. And this verse actually deals with that. So it's an opportunity for me to express how I see things, what I believe is not proper and probably needs to be addressed and hopefully get corrected. So we're going to share that together, and we're going to discuss. But this verse is discussing about Vedavadi. Veda means Vedas, knowledge, the ocean of knowledge, the compendium of knowledge. And then Vadi, like those who know. So there are people, there are devotees who are very, very strict to studying the scriptures. And because they are so strict studying the scriptures, they oftentimes, if not all the time, miss the essence of the Vedas. They become so much into the, excuse me, the face value of what the scriptures say. Face value in the sense that they read the scriptures in black and white. What they see written in the scriptures is just what they follow. They do not understand that sometimes the Lord speaks proverbially. They do not understand that sometimes the pure devotees of the Lord speak allegorical, metaphorical. And as such, these people studying the Vedas, specifically the four Vedas, the Rig, the Yaju, Atharva, Sama, these four major Vedas are what they study. And almost any other Vedas, which is body of knowledge put into writing, they despise. And therefore, lots of these Vedavadis, if not all of them, do not even accept the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They do not accept the teachings of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat. But these, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, Bhagavad Gita, these are the basis of Vaishnava philosophy. Therefore, the Vedavadis will certainly not accept the teachings of ISKCON. So, what to speak of these Vedavadis accepting that the Supreme Lord, who in many places in the Vedas is described as the oldest, the fatherless, the motherless, the self-existent force of all that may be, could be. How could such people now accept that that force is now the son of Yashoda, is now the son of Devaki? To them, it's an insult. They just can't understand how the supreme force, the supreme being, can have a form and be given birth to and be walking barefoot, playing with friends, and being scared. We are in the month of Kartik, where Lord Damodara, Lord Krishna, who stole butter from his mother, and the mother trying to chase after him and discipline him, is so much afraid of his mother and is running away. To the very Baptist, this is very insulting. How can you say that God, the Almighty Lord, is now a baby running in Yashoda Mari's compound with small coupons and is stealing butter? The Supreme Lord, who has everything to himself, who owns everything, how can he steal butter? So this is very offensive to the very Baptists. But this is what happens when we claim, or when we think that God is accessible through the mind, through the head, then it's a failure. That is why Sri Prabhupada, in his purport, was talking about so many very, very highly educated people in society who cannot accept the teachings of Krishna consciousness, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why? Because they think so deeply up to the point that they freeze, because God is not accessible through the mind. Krishna states to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktyam Mama Vijanati, I can only be understood by devotional service. Only through devotional service can I be understood. And devotional service is not just the head. Devotional service is the heart. So in Gita Nagari, where I worship, Gita Nagari is referred to as hospital for the heart. So it's a place, devotional service is actually a place where the hearts of all living entities are treated and cured and cleansed. When our hearts become pure and cleansed, that is when we are able to have some little bit of understanding of the Supreme Lord. Just like in the Bible, it is said that the pure in heart, they shall see God. There is nowhere, no scripture that says that those who clear their minds, they will be able to see God. It always is the heart, because devotion deals with the heart, much so than the mind. I once wrote a short article of using the mind and the heart to serve Krishna, to serve God. The mind and the heart are both needed to serve God. But ultimately, the heart is where devotion is. Devotion is found in the heart, it's never found in the mind. But the mind can help us use this devotion, which is already in our heart, and apply the love in such judicious way that will be very pleasing. In fact, Lord Krishna himself states that he's not very much enthused by worship out of awe and reverence. Lord Krishna is worshipped in the Vaikuntha planets in his forms as Narayan. And in all the Vaikuntha planets, Lord Narayan is worshipped with awe and reverence. In this month of Kartik, in the Damodara Stakam prayer that we recite, Lord Krishna states in that prayer also that he is not very much thrilled with awe and reverence. Of course, awe and reverence is necessary for a certain class of devotees of the Lord. There is nothing wrong in serving God with awe and reverence. It's okay. But beyond awe and reverence is that intimate relationship with God, not seeing God as God, but seeing him as just a loving, lovely person. And you love him, you serving him because you love him. If someone should ask me, SAHADEVA, why are you worshiping God? Why are you serving Krishna? If I'm fortunate enough, my answer should be that I don't know. I just love him. And I once listened to one lecture His Holiness Deva Maharaj gave in Giranagri. And Maharaj was saying, some people may ask him, why do you serve God? Why do you serve Krishna? Why have you dedicated all your life to Krishna? You joined devotional service at a very, very young age, and you've been celibate all these years. Why? And he says, what can I do? I just love Krishna. There is no reason. There is no reason to why I am serving Krishna, I'm worshiping Krishna. I do not know. This is not about myself. I'm talking about how His Holiness Deva Maharaj expressed himself. And this is the expression of all dedicated devotees of the Lord. They are not serving God, they are not serving Krishna because Krishna is going to put food on the table. They are not serving God because God is going to keep them away from illness. They are not serving God because God is going to prevent all sorts of accidents. None of those. If any of such happens, all right. If none happens, it doesn't matter. All it matters is that they just love God. For what? They can't explain. They just love him. And so to such people, they read the scriptures and if they do not follow strictly what the scriptures state externally, they dive deeper into the scriptures and go behind the superficial statements of the scriptures. Now, there are some statements in the scriptures that also have to be taken face value. The way they appear is just how they appear. You don't need any interpretation. For example, Srila Prabhupada quoted Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, text 15 in his purport to the Srimad Bhagavatam text we are discussing. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 13, text 35. Because in text 35, Krishna is explaining who these miscreants are, because these miscreants cannot accept that the Almighty Lord is now in the form of a hog, is now in the form of a boa. That is very insulting. Boa, even those who eat meat in this material world, most people who even eat meat do not eat pig because they consider it very dirty creature. And the boa is actually more dirtier than the hog. The hog is usually reared by human beings. The boa is wild. It's a wild hog. But we should understand that when the Supreme Lord appeared as Varaha, as boa, he was not actually as filthy as normal boas look and behave. He was very pleasant. And we can just imagine the form of the Lord as a boa grew so huge that he covered all the from Satyaloka all the way to this Earth planet. He covered all with his body. When does anybody see such or find such a boa? It never happens. It never happens. So the boa, even though it's not in a human form, but nevertheless, it is the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord does not change simply because of different forms or different shapes. And that is why Srila Prabhupada used the word anthropomorphism. It's very interesting Srila Prabhupada used that word because those who study nature, who study science, who study the nature, the forms, the shape of beings, understand that all forms, all shapes are limited to doing certain specific things. For example, a fish has that shape that qualifies it to be addressed as fish. A fish usually has tail, has a fin, has gills. So when a creature has these features, then we say it's fish. When a creature has beak, has wings, has claws, and can fly, we call it a bird. And a bird has a gizzard. It's something nature designs for birds that for you and me, if we eat certain foods, we could develop what we call kidney stones. Because whatever we eat, if it is not properly managed, can form to crystals. And it becomes like stone, like small pebbles, and it can block our urethra. And it makes voiding or passing urine very painful because we do not have the mechanism to kind of pulverize these small, tiny, stone-like structures in the lining of our urethra. But unlike us, the birds have something called a gizzard in their system, in their digestive system, that as they eat, because we know birds peck from the ground, and as they're pecking, they are also taking pebbles and things like that. And so they are eating pebbles into their body, but they never get any kidney stone. No bird ever gets kidney stones because they have this gizzard that smashes. It's like a melting machine that melts and crushes these pebbles, and then they pass it out in their stool. So those who study anthropomorphism understand that if you have a particular shape, a particular form, you are limited to this or limited to that. And so for the Supreme Lord to assume the form of a boa means that he is limited to just eating filth. And how dare you tell me that the Supreme Force is now eating filth, looking for worms? It's insulting. It's like in Islam also, they call it haram to assume that God has father, has mother. In Islam, they do not accept that. And it makes sense. How do you tell me that Almighty Lord, who is the source or the cause of all causes, yet he is causeless, now is the son to a mortal being. It makes no sense. Scripturally, it makes no sense. But the same scripture, when we go deeper into the same scripture tells us that all relationships we find in this world and beyond have all come from the Lord. So, master-servant relationship has come from God. Husband-wife relationship has come from God. Friends relationship has come from God. Mother, father, son, daughter relationship have come from God. If all these relationships stem from God, then why can't God also share that relationship with whomever he chooses to? This is a simple logic that these Veda bodies will not accept. They will not understand. And why wouldn't they accept? Krishna explains this in the Bhagavad Gita verse that Srila Prabhupada made a reference to, which is Bhagavad Gita 7:15, where Srila Prabhupada states that in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna does not simply say they are miscreants, but also he says that they are fools. Why are they fools? Why are they foolish? They are foolish because their intelligence has been stolen. So let's go to 7:15. Na mang duskriti no mudaha, prapadyante naradamaha, maya yata hrita jnana asuram bhavam ashritaha. This is one of the most popular verses in Bhagavad Gita. And we see duskritinaha, they are miscreants. They are mudaha, they are foolish. And they are nara adama, they are the lowest among mankind. Why? Because they are mayaya apahri. That illusory energy has stolen their intelligence. And so once our intelligence gets stolen by material nature, then we become fools. Because like we said initially, even though devotion is of the heart, we need the mind to help guide us to do things in the right way. Because there is this question asked, would you rather have a foolish friend or an intelligent enemy? Which of these two would you prefer to have? You have a friend, but who is foolish. And then you have an enemy who is intelligent. Which one would you prefer? Well, according to the question and the answer, it is better to have an intelligent enemy than to have a foolish friend. Because a fool is a fool, whether it's an enemy or a friend. But if someone is intelligent and he's your enemy, because he's intelligent, he can become a friend. So at all costs, we should try to become intelligent. When we are not intelligent, it means we are foolish. And we do not want to be foolish. And that is why this verse is very relevant to what Bhagavatam 3:13-35 is saying. So it says, those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. So when someone is a Veda body, he fits all these descriptions Shri Krishna himself is saying here. They are grossly foolish. How can someone be grossly foolish when they are strictly studying and following the Vedas? Yes. One can study the Vedas strictly and remain foolish because there is exoteric teachings of the scriptures and the esoteric teachings of the scriptures, the external teachings of the scriptures and the internal teachings of the scriptures. The Vedavadis, they just study the exoteric aspect of the Vedas, the external teachings. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada states, it is said in Bhagavad Gita that simply by surrendering oneself unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality Krishna, one can surmount the stringent laws of material nature. The laws of material nature are very stringent. Material nature is apathetic. Material nature does not state that if you touch fire, you will get burnt. And then, because a child is very ignorant and very naive, the child touches fire and material nature says, oh, my dear beloved, I know you are a child. You do not understand that fire burns. And so now that you've touched fire, you're not going to be burnt. No, these are the stringent laws of material nature. Fire is fire. And when you touch it, you're going to be burnt, no matter who you are, no matter what you call yourself. So at this point, a question arises. How is it that educated philosophers, scientists, businessmen, administrators, and all the leaders of ordinary men do not surrender to the lotus feet of Shri Krishna, the all-powerful personality of Godhead? Mukti, or liberation from the laws of material nature, is sought by the leaders of mankind in different ways and with great plans and perseverance for a great many years and births. But if that liberation is possible by simply surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then why don't these intelligent and hard-working leaders adopt this simple method? Now the answer is here. The Gita answers this question very frankly. Those really learned leaders of society like Brahma, Shiva, Kapila, the Kumaras, Manu, Vyasa, Devala, Asita, Janaka, Prahlad, Bali, and later on Madhvacharya, Ramanujaracharya, Sri Chaitanya, and many others who are faithful philosophers, politicians, educators, scientists, etc., surrender to the lotus feet of the Supreme Person, the all-powerful authority. Those who are not actually philosophers and scientists, educators, administrators, etc., but who pose themselves as such for material gain do not accept the plan or path of the Supreme Lord. They have no idea of God. They simply manufacture their own worldly plans and consequently complicate the problems of material existence in their vain attempts to solve them. Sometimes we go to school to become educated, and we think that we're going to school to become educated and become wise, but we actually go to school, become educated, and become educated fools. So many people in today's world are very highly educated in terms of education, like going to school, formal education. They have very high education. But from this high education, they become the most foolish people in society. Why? Because they become atheistic. They do not believe that there is a supreme intelligence behind everything we see and can think of. They think everything has come about by a combination of chemicals. And if even everything has come about as a combination of chemicals, Where do the chemicals come from? How do they come about? You know the chemicals, get them together and bring about what you want. I listened to one astrophysicist who was explaining who our true identity is. And in his explanation, our true identity is chemicals. It's chemicals. Now, if that is true, and we have the chemicals in this body, why do the chemicals cease to work? And if the chemicals cease to work, and you already have some, why don't you pour more or a workable chemicals into this body and make everybody eternally living? But whether we like it or not, no matter who you are, no matter what you think you are, we're all going to die. This is nature's warning and a reminder to us that there is a superior force. There is a supreme intelligence behind everything we do, everything we see, everything we can touch. And so these scientists, they study so hard, but their intelligence, their real intelligence has been stolen by the illusory energy of the Lord. And it's very difficult for us as Vaishnava devotees to tell these highly educated people that their intelligence has been stolen. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to tell a very, very full-fledged lunatic, but someone who is completely mad, you're telling him that he's mad. How would he accept that he's mad? He will not. Because he does not even have that sense of assimilation, that sense of distinction. He doesn't. So some time ago, Srila Bhaktipada used to say that we as Vaishnava devotees, when we see those who are not devotees, we think they are suffering. And those who are not devotees, when they see devotees, they also think of the devotees to be suffering. But in the end, we will find out who actually is truly suffering. And obviously, it is the non-devotees who are actually suffering. Now, in our own society as ISKCON, there are some of us who are also Vedavadis. Why? Because some of us in ISKCON today are so much attracted to the flowery language of the scriptures. But we should understand that we are Rupa Nugas. We are the followers of Rupa Goswami. We are Prabhupada Nugas. We are followers of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we all should take time and study what Srila Rupa Goswami taught and how he practiced what he taught. We all should try to study what Srila Prabhupada taught and how he practiced what he taught. We have devotees. All that they do is ritualistics, rituals. Offering sacrifice for this, offering sacrifice for that, offering sacrifice for this, offering sacrifice for that. We all should ask ourselves, how did Rupa Goswami practice Shraddha? How did Lord Chaitanya observe Shraddha? How did Srila Prabhupada observe Shraddha? We all should ask ourselves and try to answer the question ourselves. When did Srila Prabhupada offer oblation to the ancestors? When did Srila Prabhupada offer oblation to the Pitris? When did Srila Prabhupada offer any sacrifice to the demigods? We all should ask ourselves. And if we cannot find any, then we should ask ourselves, why are we practicing those? And so we might think that we are ISKCON, we accept that Lord Krishna has incarnated as Boa. It's okay, very good. The actual Vedavadis, they would not even accept that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, is Narayan. It's okay. Narayan is not different from Krishna. At least they accept. They accept a form. They accept Narayan, which is okay. Now, in our own movement, if someone believes and accepts Krishna incarnating as Boa, incarnating as Kurma, incarnating as Matsya, and yet does not understand that the ultimate teachings of ISKCON, of Hare Krishna movement, is the cultivation of bhakti, of cleansing the heart. Chito Darpanam Marajanam, as taught by Lord Chaitanya, cleansing the heart. Then where does this rituals play part in our cleansing of the heart? When we perform rituals, we're performing rituals as described and as prescribed by the acharyas, and to please who? To please the Supreme Lord. Now we should ask ourselves, when we practice or when we perform these rituals, are we performing these rituals to please the Lord? Are we performing these rituals to ask for certain things for our own selves? So just as Srila Prabhupada was speaking so heavily against the Vedavadis, we should understand that when we practice anything contrary to what Srila Prabhupada has given us, Srila Prabhupada will not be happy with us. It's up to us as individuals and as a group, as an organization, to ask ourselves whether we are doing whatever we are doing simply to please Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas, or we want to prove how much we know and how equitable we are in practicing this or that. Who even has the power to recite mantras to make anything happen, especially in this stage of Kali? Especially those of us, Westerners, Africans, Americans, who are not born into the Vedic tradition. We do not even know how to pronounce words properly. And that is why those we call the smarter Brahmanas, they think they are strictly following the principles. Like when Lord Chaitanya advented, we had Prakashananda, we had lots of these great scholars of the Vedic teachings who will not accept Lord Chaitanya singing and dancing on the street, because to them, that is not the role of a sannyasi. A sannyasi is supposed to sit down and study the scriptures and then preach. It's not a matter of singing and dancing. That is not what sannyasis are supposed to do. But Lord Chaitanya, he came and he taught that a sannyasi is to sing and dance to please the Supreme Lord. So, in order for us to understand whether we are doing the right thing or the wrong thing, we should try to go back and look at the lives of our previous acharyas. We should ask ourselves, how did Srila Prabhupada serve? How did Bhaktisiddhanta serve? How did Bhakti Vinod serve? How did Lord Chaitanya serve? How did Rupa Goswami serve? Now, there is also a danger here that if we are not very careful, these Vedavadis could cause those who are Bhaktivadis to commit lots of offenses and also impede themselves from advancing in spiritual life. Because when we are able to transfer ourselves from Veda Vadi to Bhakti Vadi, then we start looking at those who are Veda Vadis the external teachings of the Vedas, the superficial teachings of the Vedas, and we despise them. That is also wrong. That is also wrong. And therefore, it requires some sort of expertise to weave ourselves through this Veda Vadi and Bhakti Vadi paths. Because once one takes to spirituality, you're either going to be a Veda Vadi or you're going to be a Bhakti Vadi. And those who are Bhakti Vadis, those who are serving God devotionally, should not become so vengeful to the point that they despise these Veda Vadis. Because after all, if you do not have the Veda Vadis, who are you going to be preaching to? So the Veda Vadis are there for the Bhakti Vadis to help them to become Bhakti Vadis. Just as the atheists are there for the Bhakti practitioners to try to talk to these people, help convince them that what you are saying is true, but it's partial truth. There is a superior truth. Everything everybody says has some truth to it. So even what atheists say has some truth to it. But beyond that, what the atheists are saying, the atheists cannot accept what we, the Bhakti practitioners, are saying. It's just like a university graduate can understand what a kindergartner is saying, but the kindergartner cannot understand and accept what the graduate student is saying because he is not there. But with gradual education and training, the kindergartner can become a graduate. So that is the challenge given to all of us who are practicing Bhakti, that those who are practicing Bhakti at the moment should be encouraged, and those who are practicing Veda Vadi should also be cultured, should be nurtured in such a way that with such loving relationship, they can come to the level of Bhakti. Bhakti is of the heart, and therefore, we do not have to just use philosophy alone to help these people to become Bhaktis. We should show them love. If we show them love, there is a greater tendency, greater chance that these people will take to devotional service. So we all should ask ourselves, how are we going to exhibit this love? How are we going to give this love to those who may not even have the love? They may have the brain, they may have the mind, but they do not have the heart. How are we going to add heart to the mind so that they become complete whole? Sri Krishna talks about complete whole in the Sri Upanishad. We have to become complete whole. That means that we have to be able to judiciously use both our mind and our heart together to serve the Lord. So if somebody has just the mind and does not have the heart, we should find a way to give the heart to. And the way to give the heart to anyone is love. Because heart means love. And that is why you see, even in today's world, emoji, if someone wants to express love to another person, there is an emoji that is designed in the shape of a heart, which is love. I love you. And so that is what the heart does. The heart expresses love. And like His Holiness Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj has been expressing so many times, so many years, that love is not a noun, it's a verb. It's an action word. So if I say I'm practicing bhakti, which is devotion, which is love, what am I doing to demonstrate that I am practicing devotion? How much love am I giving to people? And if I only give love to those I like, then what is the difference between me and those who do not practice bhakti? Because it's natural to love someone you like. But if you can love someone you do not like, that is real love. And if there is a true love, if there is real love, that love keeps growing. And that is why we see our acharyas, our predecessors, they are always yearning for more, because love is an eternal, ever-growing tree that continues to bear unlimited fruits. And so if I think I have 90% love in my heart, I want to make it 91%. I used to hear my Gurudev say this almost every year. He says, I do not want to be the same. I do not want to be the same person as I was last year. And I used to think to myself, Gurudev, what are you talking about? You're already up there. I don't even know how to describe the devotion, but you're already up there and you're still saying that you don't want to be the same person as you were last year. And by His grace, and by the grace of the assembled devotees, as we studied Srimad Bhagavatam, slowly I have come to understand why Gurudev used to speak that way. Because true love keeps growing, 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 and it has no end. Just as we understand Lord Krishna, when you think you understand everything about Krishna, the very moment you think you know everything about Krishna, he is developed into something else. So in this way, Krishna is ever expanding and ever growing, even though He has no source, He has no cause, but His love keeps magnifying each and every single moment. So, dear devotees, we all should try to learn from this verse, not to become bitter baddies. That is, we already accept Lord Boa as Krishna, So we are not that type of bitter bodies, but we should not miss the essence of devotional service, which is devotion of the heart, service to the Supreme Lord with the heart, and not so much with the mind, and not so much with the rituals, and not so much with intense austerities that have nothing to do with helping us to melt our hearts. If we perform austerities that do not help us melt our heart, those austerities will actually solidify and harden our hearts. And therefore, you see sometimes a devotee may be so strict, so disciplined in his practices, yet he has no heart, he has no love for people. We see that in our devotional service. And we should try to stay away from such practices. Hare Krishna. So if any devotee has something to add, if any devotee has a question to ask, some realizations, reflections, please, you may unmute and then ask your question or share your reflections. Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Mitra Vida Devi, please.
Please, my days and so please, everything you said, beautiful and divine, wonderful, spot on. To it, I'd like to add love for each other. You know, sometimes if there's more of a mood to bring new people in, and if there is a diminish or lessening of love, care, support, inspiration, respect for each other, then it's an imbalance. And so it all has to be offerable. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Yes, very well spoken. Whatever we do, that is what Krishna says. Whatever you eat, actually, His Grace Srimad Prabhu helped give us this quotation yesterday. Whatever you eat, whatever you do offer as a sacrifice, do it as an offering unto me. So we all should ask ourselves if that is what we are doing or trying to do. If, excuse me to say, if you have a wife whom you love so much, and with this wife, you've had a child whom you love so much, and you see this child wrongly being ridiculed, wrongly being beaten up by another individual who is stronger than him, what would you do as a parent, as a loving parent? Would you stand still? Would you be silent? Definitely no. We wouldn't. And so if we have that love for devotees who are assets of Krishna, whom we claim that we love so much, and we find this very, very well loved asset of Krishna being mistreated, and we look the other way, what are we telling Krishna? Even in the material sense, it says that if I love you, I love your dog also. If I love you, I love your dog. So how come that I claim to be practicing love and I find my brother, my sister being bullied, being cheated, being harassed. I mean, somebody may be harassed if, let's say, he or she deserves it. It shouldn't be, but if, let's even assume that he deserves it, then you may say, all right, he deserves it. Give it to him, discipline him a little bit. But you know, this person does not deserve this humiliation, but another individual is doing that to this person, and you stay silent, and you call yourself, you practicing devotional service. Does that make sense to anybody? Does that add up to anybody? It doesn't. It doesn't add up to me, except somebody can give me a different mathematical formula. But it is our duty, it is our responsibility. We've seen so many times where Srila Prabhupada was confronted by commies criticizing his devotees. And Srila Prabhupada never at any point gave up or followed whatever the argument was against his disciple. If there is any wrongdoing on the part of the disciple, he will say that we're sorry this happened. That is not who we are, but understand these people, this is not their culture. They are trying to learn to behave properly. So that is slide. But to have a leader ridiculing a devotee for something very insignificant to a non-devotee, I don't think it speaks really well of us. Or for any devotee, seeing any devotee being ridiculed by another individual, and then you just stand idle, not doing anything. If you cannot do anything, at least say something. After all, in the US here, and I believe it's everywhere, there is this common saying, when you see something, say something. Now, the same Vedic scriptures also tell us, how to say things. It says, put a straw of grass in between your teeth, and then approach this particular individual, and out of humility, explain and express yourself to this individual. So in life, we may even be right in a particular situation, but the way we approach it, if we do not approach it properly, our right will become wrong. That also we should remember. But there should be an action to help and defend a devotee, especially when the devotee is right. Except we do not have love. And of course, I'm sitting here speaking, I do not have love, and therefore I'm unable to do what I am saying. But it is helpful that I'm saying what I'm saying, because it tells me that I am on the path and I am in the process of developing that. And as I'm sitting here speaking this way, if I get up from here and I see another devotee being humiliated, by another devotee, I'll try to find out why, what's going on. And if there is any help I can offer, I will. But I will not be silent. I should not. And you should not. Because this Veda body just becoming so strict in our own selves, we think we're performing, for some of us, we think we perform, like we are in the month of Kartik. Everybody should try to observe the vows of Kartik. But the observance of Kartik in itself does not make anyone a pure devotee. If the heart, I think Harichakra Prabhu is here. Once we went to New Vrindavan and Bhutta Bhavana shared a pastime. Bhutta Bhavana Prabhu shared a pastime. There was a pujari who never failed in taking care of the deities. Every early morning, he will attend to the deities unfailingly. And one morning, he overslept. But while he was oversleeping, he heard like somebody tapping him to wake him up. So somebody woke him up. And he was able to go to the altar to do his puja on time. But he could not understand who actually woke him up. So it turned out that he was able to understand who woke him up. And who woke him up? It was Maya. Maya woke him up. He says, "What, Maya? You woke me up to go to attend to the deities? You do not want me to worship Krishna. That's not what you do. You give me so much tricks not to worship Krishna. But why did you do that?" And Maya told him, "I did that because you want to show off to people that you are the Paka Pujari. And I want to reinforce that. So I woke you up. So you'll be okay with yourself that you are the Paka Pujari." So, I mean, this type of Pujari will not give one Krishna Prema. Whenever we do things or say things or behave in such a way that we just want to impress on people, want to tell people that we are the best, that is not a devotion. It will not go waste, but it's like a snail. It's like a snail pace of devotional service. But that is why Krishna says that just do whatever you have to do and leave the results to me. Do not become attached to the results. So whether people see you as a Paka Pujari, whether people see you as a Paka scholar, whether people see you as a Paka austere devotee, no. But there are some of us, we want to show people that we practice austerity. And so in this month of Kartik, everybody will be fasting, not sleeping, but the essence is to show to people that this is how strict I am. If we have that mentality behind the austerity, it doesn't help us much. But if we simply try to observe all these austerities, not sleeping at night, not eating much or not even eating this, eating that, reading more, just to get more in touch with Srimad Bhagavatam, with the scriptures, with the Lord, then the mercies of the Lord and the acharyas will pour through. So it boils down to I and mine. When I want to show off to people that I am this, I am that, I am better than you, it doesn't help us. It doesn't. So, well, I think I've spoken a lot. We may bring this to a close, and we hope to see you all again tomorrow. Before we do that, we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute yourselves, and we all chant our Krishna Mahamantra to express our appreciation to Srila Prabhupada for giving us this opportunity to serve the Supreme Lord in the association of the devotees. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Rama,
Ram
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Vancha
Pataribhyascha kripa sindhuvedasa.
Patitanam
Patitanam
Pavashnavyo
Namo
Vaishnavyo
Namah.
Namo.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki.
His
Jai.
Grace Sahadeva Prabhu Ki Jai.
Jai.
Krishna
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Bol.
Hare Krishna.
I put something in the chat.
Oh,